outside of Oliver into the complex stop, gets turned around. They have just about avoided. Looks to the inside line, lines up, goes through, side by side, job done. For the second time in 2020, round 19 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship, won by Josh Cook. The lights go out now, we're racing at Croft. Turkington goes very deep into the corner and through the gravels. And Turkington's in the tyre barrier. Sutton goes to the inside of Hill. This for second place, there's contact. Sutton backs out of it, lets Jake Hill.
Has he got a puncture? I think he's got a puncture.
Down to Sunny, look, Neil closes, gets up the inside, turns Cook sideways. So Matt Neal goes through. Matt Neal takes the checkered flag ahead of Josh Cook.
But, as anticipated, Matt Neal received a time penalty for his contact with Josh Cook in that second race, and the race win went to Cook. Now 2 wins out of 2 for Josh Cook, but Matt Neal did make the draw for the reverse grid race, putting Tom Chilton on pole position. But look at what a great opportunity it gives for Dan Cammish and Tom Ingram to reinforce and restart their championship challenges with Colin Turkington and Ash Sutton a fair way back down the grid. So that's how they line up for the reverse grid race. Just before we head to the commentators, I just want to take a moment to give birthday greetings to one very special viewer, to our good friend Murray Walker, who was 97 years old yesterday. Greetings and best wishes from everyone at ITV, and the same goes from everyone in the touring car paddock as well, the touring car family. Enjoy the reverse grid race. I know you always do, so let's go straight to our commentators, Tim Harvey and David Addison.
And this does promise to be yet another very dramatic race indeed, especially with the likes of Ash Sutton and Colin Turkington coming from the back of the grid, Tim, with no weight in the cars now whatsoever.
Yeah, we've seen how fast Ash Sutton is with some weight and a lot of weight in the car. Now we're going to see him with zero weight in the car, which is exactly what we saw at Silverstone. And, well, it's going to be absolutely mesmeric to see the progress they can make. But as Steve said, this is a great opportunity for Dan Cammish and Tom Ingram to really put some dent into that championship lead. Dan Cammish, after the second race, is actually only 13 points behind Ashley Sutton in the lead, and Ingram is only 39 points. So great opportunity for them.
Indeed so. And Dan Cammish, as you say, back in the mix. And after race 2, Dan spoke to Louise.
Well, Dan, you're a man who knows a thing about the twists and turns of the BTCC, and I think things definitely turned in your favour in that last race, didn't they? Particularly in terms of the championship.
Yeah, honestly, it's a roller coaster, isn't it? This game. You just never know what's next, what's coming. Your emotions, your adrenaline. It's like this all the time because you don't know what's around any corner. And I swing from elation to, feeling down and depressed, back to elation within 20 minutes. It's just, and I think everyone's the same in this gig because it can change around so fast. You come out here and you think you're going to have a tough day, and you end up having a pretty good day. I mean, for me, this weekend has been a complete role reversal of my usual day. Qualifying did not go to plan. I really enjoy the qualifying aspects of BTCC. Had a really struggled a lot yesterday and didn't get the lap together. And the lap I did get, they took off me. And I've had to come about it a different way, 10th in race 1, which would have usually been my race 3, and then a 5th, which is respectable, and now I'll start on the front row. So now I've got an opportunity to have a good weekend, but just in a complete reverse order of my usual. So fingers crossed we can have a good final race. It's been topsy-turvy up and down the grid for a number of guys this weekend. Of course, I'm keeping a little bit of an eye on Turks and Sutton, who seem to have their own dramas, but they're both incredibly fast. Ash especially, he passed me in race 1 like I was stood still and kept going, so I dare say even in this race we might see him. I'd be surprised if he don't get somewhere into the top 5, let's put it that way.
Well, in terms of your mood swings, I would imagine it swung to a happy, smiley Dan when you saw the reverse grid draw, because your teammate, his ball skills did you a big favour there, didn't they, putting you on the front row?
No, he did. What a legend. It's a shame he lost the win, although he did say to me that, he kind of held his hands up and knew that he was probably going to lose it. I don't think he fought too hard to keep it, to be honest. Great job by Josh, obviously, all weekend in the sister FK8. Honda's going well, But yeah, Matt's obviously been really helpful. Most of my overtakes in that last race, he really pointed out exactly how to get it done. So thanks to him for that. But yeah, and then pulling the ball out. it can always be a bit of a nightmare. It's always the ball you don't want, and actually it pulled bang the right one. So yeah, very pleased, and hopefully we can finish off today with a strong result.
Well, we look forward to seeing what you do with that front row start. Have fun out there.
Cheers.
So the 1 minute board is shown, engines fire up, and let's quickly see if we can go to the grid and talk to Josh Cook, because Josh, this has turned out to be a really good day so far, hasn't it?
Yeah, obviously, good day yesterday. P1, yeah, first race, fastest lap. Yeah, it's been a good day. Yeah, second win in race 2. Just got to see what we can do in race 3 now.
The car seemed to carry the weight really well in that second race, apart from the incident with Matt right at the end, and no doubt you feel that justice has been done here with you taking the win in the end.
Yeah, you know, the guys have done a great job. We know what it's like to carry weight. We did a lot of it last year, so we made a good few changes. I was happy with the balance we had. But yeah, like you said, the lighter cars are always going to be quicker, so we've still got a bit of weight on board. But the guys in front are obviously going to be quick, and we'll see what happens.
Excellent. Good luck, Josh.
Cheers.
So Josh Cook is good to go. It has been quite a day thus far for BTC Racing. It was here that the team had its first British Touring Car Championship win. Dan Lloyd was the driver for that first win, and it's another BTC racing car that is on pole position, that of Tom Chilton, as the cars accelerate away then on this green flag lap. Tom Chilton starts on pole position, Dan Cammish with him at the front of the grid. Tom Ingram is going to start third ahead of Jake Hill, then Matt Neal and Josh Cook sixth. Seventh is Tom Oliphant ahead of Bobby Thompson, then Senna Proctor and Stephen Jelly. Aidan Moffat and Chris Smiley are next ahead of Adam Morgan and Sam Osborne. Mike Bushell and Andy Neate are on the 8th row of the grid. Row 9 is Jack Butel and Jack Goff. Then the drivers well worth keeping an eye on: Rory Butcher, Ash Sutton, Michael Creed will be behind them. Ollie Jackson 22nd, Colin Turkington starts 23rd with Carl Boardley and Nicholas Hamilton to round out the grid. So the cars now turning their way through Tower. This is how we look on ballast. 30 kilos for Tom Chilton, 36 for Dan Cammish, then 42 for Ingram, all the way up to 60 kilos for Josh Cook. And of course, as the race 2 winner, he has the most weight, Stephen Jelly on 6. Let's try next to have a quick word with the pole position driver, Tom Chilton, winner of race 3 here last year. Pole position now, Tom. Is this going to be another win? It's been a good day for the team so far. An answer comes there, none. Apologies. So Tom Chilton, we were planning on talking to. He's the man on pole position, and to reiterate the point, he did win here last year. So the car now making its way round to pole position, but with 30 kilos of weight on board, he's got a good chance. But Dan Cammish will be a fascinating one from the outside of the front row, Tim. Does he go for points? Does he go for the win?
Well, he'll go for it off the line, that's for sure, because getting into the first corner first would make a huge difference to how your race might pan out, because there's not much weight between the top 4 cars, so they're going to be fairly even on pace. So, yeah, I mean, Cammish will definitely go for it to start with, but, I mean, he's not going to, or he shouldn't really risk too much, certainly around the outside of Clervaux, if he hasn't got clear position, because, say he would have finished second in this race, and Turkington and Sutton were to not make significant inroads into the points, he could very well be leaving this meeting leading the championship.
Absolutely right. So the cars come to the grid. There is Josh Cook behind Matt Neal, and as that's how they cross the line, that's how they carry the weight. So even though Josh was the winner, he carries 54 for crossing the line. Second, Matt Neal carries the full amount, even though he didn't keep the win. You take the ballast as you cross the line. So 60 kilos for Matt Neal, 54 for Josh Cook, who's got himself up into the top 10 in the championship now. Colin Turkington from the back of the grid, second in the championship. He and Ash not scoring points in race 2, so it was a sort of no-score draw between them. Right, we're ready to go racing just about as the last few cars come onto that pit straight. Jack Butel in the background is there, then Jack Goff and Colin Turkington on the penultimate row. Carl Boardley and Nicholas Hamilton, who is there, will complete the grid. 15 laps, all being well, we should have. Tom Chilton is the man that starts on pole position. It is round 21 of the Quick Fit British Touring Car Championship. Dan Cammish is on the outside of the front row. Down the pit lane comes, by the look of it, Michael Creed, who has had a real day to forget. So Michael Creed will start from the pits if he starts at all. Everybody else is set to go racing. There is the green flag that says that everyone is back from that final formation lap. Lights go red at Croft. Race 3 of the day is underway. Good getaway by Chilton. Bit of wheel spin maybe from Cammish, who bogs down slightly. That gives Ingram the chance to get up the inside of him as they run down towards Clevo Corner. It's going to be Tom Chilton that leads the way. Up into second place goes Ingram, then through on the inside. Cammish third, and Matt Neal and Jake Hill get together, and Stephen Jelly gets it wrong. Possibly contact, but either way, he's had a half spin.
Yeah, and Turkington across the inside, trying to avoid any kind of... Oh, he's got a problem. Turkington's going slowly.
He has got a problem, or, well, pace picks up a little, but all is not well. That's not proper Turkington pace, as Chilton leads Ingram down to Tower. Third is Cammish, fourth on the inside line, Matt Neal. Then it's Oliphant alongside Hill. Cook is next under attack from Proctor. Ash Sutton making progress forward. There he goes through the shot, but Turkington in strife already as Ingram goes for the race lead. Look at that, fantastic on the inside. Wow, Ingram through, going through the Jim Clark S's, absolutely on the limit on coal tars on lap 1. What a move.
Yeah, third to first in 4 corners, absolutely brilliant. It was actually Cammish, I think, that was caught napping on the line a little bit. His reaction not seemingly as good as Chilton. He made a great start, as did Ingram. Looks like Cammish is now getting up to speed, and he's got a little bit of a luxury behind because he's got his teammate Matt Neal playing rear gunner behind him in front of Oliphant.
So Ingram will lead at the end of lap 1. What news of Turkington? We saw the car going slowly out of the right-hander of Hawthorne, but at the end of lap 1, then it is Tom Ingram that leads the way. Second across the line, just Chilton, but there is Cammish sitting on the outside line. Michael Crease set to join in late from the pits. Fourth is Matt Neal, fifth is Oliphant. They dive down through Clevo. Chilton now trying to keep Cammish behind him, but Ingram's escaping up the road.
Yeah, Ingram's gone, and if Cammish doesn't get past Chilton very quickly, it looks like Ingram will be down the road.
Josh Cook sitting behind Tom Oliphant here. These two are 5th and 6th as they work lap 2 down towards Tower. Oliphant trying to defend that inside line behind the pair. Look, you've got Senna Proctor going through in 7th place, like Ingram, of course, having been at the back for race 1, working his way forward for race 2. And Ash Sutton at the end of lap 1 was 13th.
Up 7 places. Yep, 7 places.
Whereas Turkington has headed to the pit lane. So Turkington did indeed have a problem and is in danger of losing a lap here. But Chilton is making this car as wide as possible. Cammish crawling all over the back of him now.
Yeah, there's Turkington sitting in the pit. So he's had 2 non-point scoring finishes from this meeting. An absolute disaster. The king of Croft not getting anything out of this meeting. Unheard of.
So Turkington in strife, Chilton under attack for 2nd place as Cammish applies the pressure, trying to get the switch back for the inside, coming off the hairpin. Matt Neal, the cork in the bottle to try and protect Cammish, keep everybody else at bay. Replay of lap 1 on board with Turkington. Ollie Jackson ahead.
Oh, we've got a little bit of contact there. Whether that's broken a drive shaft or something on the rear, may have done, because he then is very slow.
Yeah.
Just looking at the lap times, Ingram is nearly 2 seconds a lap quicker than Chilton and Cammish, squabbling for 2nd place.
That was Stephen Jelly having a moment on one side of the road. There was Turkington after the contact on the inside. So Ingram leads by 2.6 seconds. He's done the fastest lap of the race. Game on still for 2nd place. Chilton ahead of Cammish. Matt Neal keeping Oliphant at bay. And then the queue is building behind him. Josh Cook still there in 6th place. This is the view. Josh Cook, you are riding with as he goes now through the Jim Clark S's down towards Barcroft. And don't forget, this car has got 54 kilos. And big off there. That is Bobby Thompson, who has come to grief. So the Audi off the road. Marshals go to the aid of the driver. The safety car deployed instantly. I was about to say that Matt Neal, remember, 4th, doing a good job with the maximum weight on the car as Ingram now heads up towards the complex. Yellow flags fly. You can see the Audi off the road in the background. So Ingram's big lead is going to disappear. And the medical car is what you see on the road, just up the road ahead of Ingram. So the race will be neutralised at the end of this lap. Everybody can catch their breath, but Ingram's big advantage will disappear. And there is the best news of the day. Bobby Thompson wriggles clear of the upturned Audi. He's a bit shaken, but he's okay, and the car will need retrieval, but Bobby is out of the car, and that's very good news indeed.
Yeah, looked to be somewhere around the back of the Jim Clark S's that he'd gone off, but we'll We'll wait and see, but yes, great to see him get out of the car. He's clearly winded, not surprised after the way that car went over.
Yes.
And, well, he's been having a really good weekend so far. He'd been he qualified really well. He was 8th in the first race. He was 8th in the second race. It was a really good weekend up until that point.
Absolutely right. So not only in terms of overall points and pace, but also the Jack Sears Trophy. But Bobby Thompson is out of the car, which is very good news indeed. So Tom Ingram is the race leader here at Croft. Behind him, Tom Chilton. Bobby Thompson walks away. Has a quick look at the damage, but yes, I'll go to the medical centre and be checked over by the team. And as he does so, of course, fingers crossed, all will be good to get both the Audis on track for Snetterton in 2 weeks' time. Now let's see if we can piece it all together. There he is, off in the background, and then the car just digs in. Over it goes.
Yeah, for some reason he was out on the right-hand side. Wow, that must have gone over completely 5 or 6 times. He was on the right-hand side of the... He was off the track, wasn't he, before the turn-in to the Jim Clark S's.
Yes.
Whether he'd been forced off the road or what, I don't know. But, yeah, the car hit the sort of dirt sideways on, just dug in and started flipping it over. Oh.
It's another example of how well built these cars are, how well they stand up to impacts. I know that in a spectacular accident like that, the energy is dissipated, but even so, you know, the car has stood up to it remarkably well, and the driver gets out and walks away.
Yeah, the cars are incredibly strong. The shells, the caging is really, really strong, and the driver cell, if you like, behind the B pillar as well, between the doors, very, very safe.
So, Dan Cammish spoke before the race about how it can be a roller coaster, this championship. There's more evidence. Bobby Thompson has 2 tremendous touring car drives and probably quite the biggest accident of his career in the 3rd race here at Croft. So we're under the safety car, and let's have a look once more at the start of the race, because as ever there is a story to be told there. So this is Josh Cook's view of the start, Tim.
Yeah, lights on. As soon as they go off, he moves. Good reaction. He's got Matt Neal in front of him to the right. He seems to have got away a little bit better. And Oliphant, as you'd expect in the rear-wheel drive BMW, they're crowding in front of them into the first corner. Always a gamble which way do you go. Cook stays in line behind Oliphant and then tries to tuck up the inside of him as Oliphant's getting his tyres up to temperature. There's a little bit of a contact there. Oh, no wonder Oliphant had to dive to the left-hand side of the chicane, but that allowed Hill through because obviously Cook lost a bit of momentum. And then down the outside, good impressive dive from Hill. He's been king of the outside moves on lap 1, hasn't he?
Absolutely right. Into the S's.
Yeah, Hill's move didn't come off. He's had to duck behind. Look how fast Cook is through there. Wow. He was mega committed on that the first lap, wasn't he?
Yeah, absolutely.
He knows that the BMWs just take a lap or so to get that temperature into their tyres, so he wanted to attack as much as possible on this first lap. About this sort of time in the lap, Oliphant's feeling the tyres come to grip underneath him as they come up to temperature. On board with Ollie Jackson. He gets a bit of wheel spin off the line. He's got his teammate Rory Butcher right in front, but had good speed. Coming down to the first corner, don't queue up really to the inside. Sutton's gone to the inside, made a couple of plays. Oh, there was a little touch between Butcher and Jack Butel. When you're that far back in the pack, it really is all kicking off, isn't it? There's no right or wrong way to go. You just have to go for this where there's a space. Good run out of the chicane, though. Sees him draw alongside Butel and clearly passed on the way down to Tower. Up front, in front. Oh, there's Andy Neat and Mike Bushell, I think that is, on the left. Lots of locking up on the cold tyres down into sunny 1 on the first lap. And Neat makes it very easy for Ollie Jackson to go past by running wide at the exit of Sunny.
So Jackson working his way forward on that opening lap. 15th, he is currently behind the safety car, incidentally. So there is what is left of the Bobby Thompson Audi being dragged away, and we're still trying to piece together how it all started. Let's see if we got any more about that. Ash Sutton would have been behind him. So this is on board with Sutton. Have a look to the right. He gets squeezed onto the grass there by somebody.
Yeah, that's what we suspected. He was rubbing with, I can't see, is it Aidan Moffat? Might be Aidan Moffat. But he was, yeah, I think it might have been Aidan Moffat, actually. A couple of cars ahead. They were running side by side and not apportioning blame to any driver, but Thompson ended up on the grass on the right, at which point the circuit was going left, and yes, he was a passenger. And
the circuit won, didn't it, in that battle? Colin Turkington has rejoined. The best he can hope for now is a fastest lap point, because he is 5 laps down on the race leader. He may even struggle to be classified being so many laps down, so fastest lap point would at least help.
Yeah, I'm just suspecting maybe it was a drive shaft or something, but from the little clatter he had into turn 1. One thing this does do is it takes away Ingram's lead at the front. He had built up a nice little lead, and it does mean that Chilton and Cammish are going to be right on his tail at the restart.
Which is this lap, because the safety car will be in this time. So although they're over at Tower, we will go racing at the end of this lap. Now remember what was happening before the safety car. Ingram was getting away, and Chilton was very busy fending off Cammish. So that is exactly the situation that Ingram would like yet again, so that he can build the gap, and Chilton and Cammish squabble. And you have Matt Neal also trying to protect Cammish by keeping Oliphant and Cook and Hill at bay as well. Sutton is up into 12th place now from, he started, don't forget, 20th on the grid.
I wouldn't be surprised to see Matt Neal just a few lengths perhaps behind Cammish at the restart. But Cammish feels he's obviously got the faster car than Chilton, but will want to try and get past quickly, but not really take a risk.
So let us find out whether it is going to be Ingram to build the gap back up again, or it's a different situation this time around as they try and get the pressures back up, the warmth in the tyres. Here is Josh Cook, remember, who is sitting in that 6th place.
Ingram's already gone. Sorry to jump in. He's already started the race.
So 3 corners away from the end of the lap. He's on the power. He comes into the hairpin now, and he's battle on again between Chilton and Cammish. They can't overtake until they get to the timing line, but Cammish wants to line up that move to try and get past as soon as he can. But as they break the beam, Ingram is indeed clear already by 9/10 of a second. Here comes Cammish, looks up the inside line, can't do it.
Now the braking zone into turn 1 is really quite small. They don't brake very much. It's hard to outbrake. They've scattered all. Oh, Joe Osborne. Sorry, Sam Osborne getting wide, having a big slide there. They managed to remove all of the marker posts at the restart, didn't they? On the approach to Clervaux and the exit of Clervaux, all marker posts gone.
And here, look, Matt Neal under attack. Barred up the inside of Josh Cook goes Jake Hill. Matt, again, being the cork in the bottle. He's on maximum ballast, don't forget. And while he's keeping everybody stacked up behind him, so Cammish is escaping up the road. So it's really down to Oliphant here to try to find that gap, to try and force a way through, in a sense, and everybody else wanting to do likewise. Josh Cook has been out wide. He gets back onto the road. Suddenly I feared the car was going to snap away, and that's the reason. Jake Hill's attacking him, and Hill goes through on the inside. Cook just about gets across to defend from Proctor.
Yeah, he got out wide, got on all the marbles, got really dirty tyres, and Hill was able to get up the inside. He's still cleaning his tyres up, is Cook.
So Josh Cook loses a place. Oliphant is getting ever more committed to finding a way past Matt Neal, and he's got to do it because he is being held up. Everybody else behind Oliphant is stuck, and Matt Neal doing the team game here, looking after the hopes and aspirations of Cammish as they come off the hairpin up towards the line. While all that's going on, let's see if there's further progress being made by Ash Sutton. Tom Ingram has done the fastest lap of the race. He leads Chilton by 6/10. Cammish is still there in 3rd place.
Yeah, that's obviously 2 very equal cars, Cammish and Chilton, both with similar weights on and both driven by extremely good drivers, so trying to find a way past is not easy. Oh, is this a look? No, he started to look, and Chilton just turned in nice and early to cover that off, but all that does is slow them down. Cammish flashes his lights in frustration.
at the start of the second element of this race, after the safety car, Ingram was 9/10 up on the restart. He's only 6/10 up at the end of the first racing lap of it. So clearly, Chilton and Neil and Cammish are doing their level best to go after the Toyota. Ingram, yes, does have an advantage. It's not a massive one, as Adam Morgan gains a place there on the inside ahead of Chris Smiley. So Mercedes goes forward one spot.
Good move there, and following him through, of course, is Sutton.
Fastest lap of the race, Colin Turkington. He is so far back, so many laps behind, there's nothing else he can fight for, but at the moment he's done the fastest lap of the race. So Sutton goes to the outside of Morgan now. Leaders through, Ingram to Chilton, still hovering around the 6/10 mark. Cammish pulls out, has a look, but not really a committed effort there. In fourth place, you can see the gap opening up between third and fourth. Matt Neal is fourth, and everybody else pretty much is in a queue behind Matt Neal.
Yeah, Sutton round the outside of Morgan down the start-finish straight, so he must have got a very good exit there. Interestingly, I mean, Ingram hasn't jumped away, has he, like he did at the first part of this race. Neal and Oliphant side by side. Neal has the inside. Growing frustration you sense from Oliphant here.
And Jake Hill has worked his way past Josh Cook. Now, can the Honda get past the BMW and then attack Matt Neal? Let's see. Still, Ingram, as I said, with this modest advantage, but not a big gap like he had before the safety car. If anything, it was down from the restart to the end of that first racing lap, and he's at the moment rather reliant on Chilton defending from Cammish, it seems, as he comes out of Sunny out onto the power once again now as he accelerates towards the complex. Neal is still fourth with the oh-so-frustrated Oliphant still thinking of a way to get past him.
Yeah, interesting watching Chilton and Cammish breaking into that through Barcroft into Sunny, because there's no doubt that Cammish's car looks a lot more stable. You've got Chilton's car hopping, bobbing, skipping and locking brakes up, and Cammish's car looks absolutely planted there.
Over the timing line once more then, so to the inside line looks Cammish. Look at the queue behind though, because Matt Neal, then Oliphant, then Hill, then Cook, then Croft, so they're all in a big line looking to try to get past Neal.
Now Matt Neal's got glowing brakes. Oh my goodness, doesn't this ring sound exactly like what happened at Brands Hatch? Now if his team are watching this, they need to tell him to duck out of the airstream and get some fresh air in there. Oh, that's actually sparks coming from Chilton's brakes as well. Chilton's got the same problem. He had sparks coming out of his brakes.
And Oliphant was on the attack, and so was Jake Hill for fourth as they went into Tower. So has we had a change? Let's see. It's all kicking off behind. Look, is it a different order? No. It's still Matt Neal ahead of Oliphant, ahead of Hill, ahead of Cook. But it's not for the ones who are trying. And there, look, Cammish with glowing brakes as well now.
Well, he's not going to make the end of this race unless he slows down and gets some clear air in it. And you know, this is something I felt at Brands last year. The team should have been telling him to do it, because it was very clear what was going to happen if he doesn't take action. And the team were watching these pictures.
So seemingly it's the FK8, the new shape Honda. We need to have a look at Jake Hill in the older car, but it's all the new shape Hondas, and seemingly with this problem. We've seen it from Cammish, Neal, and there the flames are there. Look at Cammish's car and Chilton as well as they come over the line, but suddenly brakes at the end of a cold day at Croft becoming a big issue.
Well, they do run some blanking crates, but it doesn't take too much to cool them down. If you duck out of the airstream with the car in front and moderate your braking a lot, you can really cool them down.
And now Ingram's lead is certainly extending. It's up to 1.4 seconds. That's Carl Boardley, who's had a drama down at Hawthorne by the look of it. The BMW gets going once again. And we've had Hill get past Oliphant, look. So there is Jake Hill up ahead of Oliphant. And where has Sutton got to in all of this? He's seventh now as there Morgan versus Moffat. They round Tower together, and it's the Mercedes that gets run out wide. So Rory Butcher is on the attack as well.
Yeah, and goes through as Morgan gets out on the dirt.
So both the Infinities moving forward, but Ash Sutton then up to 7th from 20th on the grid. He is not finished yet, so the next target for him is going to be Tom Oliphant. Here is the race leader, Tom Ingram. Then you've got the BTC and Dynamics Hondas behind. In other words, Chilton from Cammish. Then it's Neal, Hill, Oliphant and Sutton.
Well, there's plenty of scalps to be taken by Sutton, isn't there? We're on board with him now, and Oliphant more than covering the inside, but watch the cutback from Sutton and the traction and speed off the corner. Oh, he's putting his lights on.
always makes you go faster, doesn't it? It's over the timing line. Oliphant to Sutton then was 0.2 of a second. Josh Cook has dropped back behind them in 8th place. But fair play to Matt Neal. He's hanging on in there with maximum weight in 4th position, no matter what's been thrown at him.
Yeah, and interestingly, his brakes are not on fire because he's not following another car so closely, so he's getting plenty of cool air, even though he's got 60 kilos.
Yeah, he's got Jake Hill crawling all over the back of him as Cammish thinks about the inside line, goes for him, will go through on the inside. There's contact, he's going to run out wide, but Cammish does it at long last, makes the dive, goes through. And Jake Hill not able to get past Matt Neal, so one Dynamics car gains a place, one maintains its 4th spot. There is Neal under real attack from Hill, but Cammish now released from behind Chilton. He's on the prowl.
Yeah, and at least he'll get some cooler air in through the brakes. They're still glowing every time he jumps on the pedal, so end of the race can't come. But that was a really strong move. He looked at every other option, and maybe he took a couple of laps to cool his brakes down and then did a lunge, because I'm sure Chilton would have been told the same thing about his brakes.
You can see the orange is rather less an angry orange as he came into the complex that time. So this is the move. Dan Cammish goes to the inside line. It was a pretty late dive, but he committed.
It was a late dive and just a tiny bit of contact there, but he gets cleanly through, doesn't run wide, and yeah, good second place.
That's Sutton on the outside of Oliphant. Can't do it. Can he get the switch back to the inside going into Hawthorne? The answer is no as well. But Sutton then all over the back of the BMW, and will try to line up a move coming out of the chicane down towards Tower. This is the fast run now, this long section down to Tower. Oliphant under attack from Sutton, who has managed to move himself up past Jake Hill. Remember, they all want to get past Matt Neal, and now to the outside line goes the Infinity. Jake Hill tries to get a place back if he can.
Yeah, Oliphant's going to put up a stoic defence, but we know, look how close Sutton drives. He drives right in your boot lid.
But while this battle is going on, of course, so Matt Neal is getting away a little bit, because Oliphant, by defending, has fallen away from the Honda.
Yeah, absolutely. But it wouldn't take long if Sutton does get through. He'll be on Neal's boot lid in about half a lap.
Totally agree with that, but right now he's got to find a way past this BMW as they head up towards the complex once again. This is lap 14 of 18 because of the safety car, and you can see how quick that Infinity is. No extra weight in it, no success weight, don't forget, but even so, you've got one of the fastest drivers in the championship looking to get past Tom Oliphant's BMW that defends well through the hairpin. Oliphant defending as best he can, and it's working so far.
Colin Turkington, interestingly, has gone even faster. He's actually done a 21.7, which is a new lap record, beating his own lap record from last year. Obviously, he's got no weight on the car. That helps, but some scant reward and a point for this race.
And of course, that point might be crucial. You never know what might happen to Ash Sutton with this race yet to finish. 3 at Snetterton and 3 at Brands, still 2 go. So this is Sutton's view. So he's been staring at the back of this BMW for a lap and a bit now. So is he going to be able to dive up the inside at Tower? Not this time he's not. He's close, but not yet able to prise open the door.
Well, to be fair, Tom Oliphant is a brilliant defensive driver.
Yeah, he is.
We've seen it in the past. He's not frightened of anybody, and he can hold the best off for a good while.
This is Brands Hatch race 3 revisited, isn't it? Where Oliphant hung onto the race lead there to keep Ash Sutton at bay. And it's happening again here with Oliphant defending, and they're getting closer again. Look to Matt Neal.
Yeah, and that was to score his first victory, so huge pressure. This is actually for 5th place. 14 places Sutton's improved. 14.
And he's not done yet. I mean, you know, he's not just sitting there content, is he? He wants to push. He's all over the back of the BMW. They've caught up to Matt Neal. Look as Sutton tries the outside line, approaching the hairpin there. Oliphant right back onto the tail of the heavy Honda of Matt Neal. Over the line goes Ingram, and he is 1 second ahead of Dan Cammish, who on the last lap was 3/10 quicker. So Cammish, whose car is a little lighter, is certainly charging now.
Yeah, he is. And if he's got any brakes left, I dare say he may have a go.
So out of Hawthorne goes there Matt Neal with Oliphant, with Sutton back up behind him. So this is 4th, 5th and 6th we're looking at. And Cammish getting ever closer to Ingram then in the first sector of this lap. He's 4/10 quicker. That gap is coming down.
That's a big chunk, isn't it? Yeah.
Bear in mind, Ingram had that monster advantage in the first element of the race. Oh, now he's got to make this car wide. It's got to be defensive driving rather than pure pace, hasn't it?
Yeah. Just look how stable. I mean, Cammish's car looks really good on the brakes there. in terms of chassis stability, not in terms of brake wear.
He qualified hastily, yes. So there is Cammish going through in second. There you can see the glowing brakes, but so far find wood to touch. They're standing up to the punishment they are being given.
Yeah, well, he's had a few laps in clear air, even though he's been driving very fast, but very quickly those brake temperatures are going to go up again. Now he's following Ingram closely.
So over the timing line, 2 laps to run now. Ingram to Cammish. It was 1 second. It's down to 0.6 of a second then as they drop down towards Clervaux. This is Sutton, who has still not given up in his quest to get past Oliphant, who has not given up in his efforts to get past Matt Neal, but still no change in the order. And Matt hanging on to position no matter what is thrown at him. Oliphant trying to attack, trying to defend. He goes a little bit wide. Can the Infinity squirt up the inside round Hawthorne? They are almost level, and yes, Sutton goes through. Another place gain for him.
Yeah, just forced that little mistake by Oliphant by running too fast into Hawthorne.
Right, so now Sutton tries to do what nobody else has done in this race, get past Matt Neal. Meantime, Cammish is closing on Ingram. There's going to be one more lap to go at the end of this. Ingram has still got to make that car unfeasibly wide, but Cammish is throwing everything at it.
He's right on the bumper now. Right on the curb.
Through Sunny out then, they'll be starting the last lap this time around. Ingram, we know, is good at soaking up pressure. These two had some great battles at Silverstone a couple of weeks ago, and who is going to come out on top here? It's going to be a real sprint to the flag because they will start it virtually as one. It is Toyota versus Honda. Front-wheel drive cars have dominated the day. Who is going to come out on top of this last race of the day, this last lap of the day? Ingram goes through. 0.6 was the margin, and as they break the beam, 0.4 the gap as they start the last lap of the day at Croft.
Yeah, and of course they had some epic battles at Thruxton, didn't they? They've absolutely been racing together the last few meetings.
That was on board with Turkington, who is still, of course, the man with the fastest lap to his name. Now, remember, both of these drivers need to bank good points out of this race to bring them back into the mix for Snetterton in a couple of weeks' time. As you go on board now with Sutton, he's on the tail of Matt Neal. This is going to go down to the wire as well, isn't it? So, which battle do you look for? The one for the lead or the one involving the championship leader? Sutton closing on Matt Neal down towards Tower, can't make the move there.
No, and this is good team play by Matt Neal because he knows that every position Sutton gets is points taken off his teammate Cammish. So holding him off for the rest of this lap is an important job for Neal.
So Ingram it is who leads out of Sunny. There's the complex, there's the hairpin to go. Is he home and dry? Not quite, because Cammish is still there, breathing right down his neck. Ingram is going for a 3rd victory of the season. Cammish is going for a 4th. Nose to tail into the complex. Checkered flag at the ready. The Toyota just hangs on to the lead then. Dan Cammish in the Dynamics Run Honda Civic crawling all over the back of the Speedworks Toyota. Ingram, though, gets the car positioned absolutely dead right as he comes up towards the checkered flag out of the hairpin. Round 21 is won by Tom Ingram. He comes across the line to take the checkered flag to win the last race of the day. And here comes Sutton alongside Matt Neal. It is a drag race to the line. And what do the timekeepers say? They say Matt Neal was ahead by 19 thousandths of a second. So Matt Neal did hang on to 4th place ahead of Sutton with Oliphant in 6th. It is Ingram, Cammish, Chilton, the top 3. Neal, Sutton, Oliphant rounding out the top 6. Then Hill, Cook, Proctor and Moffat to complete the top 10. And Tom Ingram's winning margin, 0.278 of a second at the end of a very close run thing indeed. And he is a very happy man indeed, because after the great disappointment of losing that pole position yesterday, he's worked his way forward and taken good points in that race, the win, and of course a point for leading a lap. Led all of them as it turned out, but Tom Ingram takes the lap leader point, and the winning margin, as I say, just over a 1/5 of a second. Ash Sutton then 5th from 20th on the grid, and that's again really important for his championship hopes, with Turkington only getting a single point for the fastest lap.
Yeah, a fantastic drive by him, and you know, it was always to be expected. Turkington's going to really kick himself. He would have come here. He'd been waiting almost all year to come here and bag a whole load of points. And do you know what? His podium in race 1 is the only rear-wheel drive podium we've had all weekend. Who would have put money on that?
Well, it has been a quirky weekend. We had the first front-wheel drive pole position here since Matt Neal's 2012 efforts. We've had a day dominated by the front-wheel drive cars. Ash Sutton, ever exciting to watch, ruining what happened in race 2. Colin Turkington will be contemplating on what has happened to him in races 2 and 3 as he now starts the next part of his Sunday tradition, which is the dash back home to get to the Chinese before it closes. He says that's the most important part of Sunday, to have a very quick debrief and then leg it down the road. But there won't be much to smile about in the Turkington camp, sadly, this evening. Round 21 of the championship goes the way of Tom Ingram, with Dan Cammish second and Tom Chilton in third. Fourth, Matt Neal ahead of Ash Sutton and then Tom Oliphant, with Jake Hill seventh ahead of Josh Cook, Senna Proctor ninth and Aidan Moffat in 10th. Rory Butcher 11th ahead of teammate Ollie Jackson. Adam Morgan 13th with Stephen Jelly 14th. 15th goes the way, the last point of Sam Osborne. Then Andy Neat ahead of Mike Bushell, with Jack Goff 18th, Chris Smiley 19th, and the top 20 rounded out by Jack Butel. Nicholas Hamilton from Cole Bordley, who had a spin. Colin Turkington 4 laps down after a pit stop after the contact on lap 1. Huge accident for Bobby Thompson, and we wish him all the best after that, with Michael Crease not really getting into the race proper, with still mechanical maladies in his Honda Civic. So, Tom Ingram has done it. It is a third win of the season, and he can reflect on that when we get back to Croft in a couple of minutes' time.